Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talk Virgin to Me. So now you have decided that Virgin Voyages is right for you, and you can't wait to get on board, but you're like, which itinerary should I pick? So we are going to dive into all of the itineraries. We've got 4 nights all the way through 12 nights, Caribbean, Mediterranean, all of that stuff. We're going to look at that and find out which one is right for you. So stay tuned and we're going to talk about it. All right. So the easiest way I think to break it down is to decide whether or not you want to stay over here in the Caribbean or you want to go abroad somewhere, not over here in the Caribbean. But the other thing is, the really cool part about Virgin is, honestly, one of the things I love about them is that they make it simple. So they don't have a ton of ships, which is awesome. So they're not like some of the other big cruise lines where you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I want this ship or this ship or this ship. And do I want a big ship? Do I want a small ship? Do I want a medium-sized ship? There's one ship. And guess what? That ship is pretty much the same. I'm sorry, not one ship, 4 ships, all the same. Wow, I really messed that up. There's 4 ships that are all the same. And they're basically the same. So obviously the decor in them are a little bit different, but the 4 ships are pretty much the same. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, if I go on the Brilliant Lady, what did I miss on the Scarlet Lady? So there are some differences, I will tell you that, but don't get caught up in it because eventually when you do sail and fall in love, you'll probably be on the other 3 at some point. I have no doubt. So don't get too caught up in trying to pick out the ship. Go for the itinerary. I think that's the best thing with Virgin is to go for the itinerary because the ships are so similar. You're not missing much in between some of the other ones, which is great. But just to give you a really, really quick overview of each ship, if you are interested in ships, the newest to the fleet, which starts in September, is Brilliant Lady. So she is joining the fleet and has not even set sail yet. She joined September 2025. And just to give you an overview, normally I don't write notes, but this time I did. Brilliant Lady is actually going to do some longer Caribbean. So I remember back in the day when they were trying to figure out what they wanted to do with her, there was a question between shorter Caribbean or longer Caribbean, and I voted for shorter Caribbean. I just want to say that for the Brilliant Lady, but they actually went with longer. So she actually is going to have a lot longer itineraries. She's actually starting, her mermaiden voyage starts in New York and goes down to Bermuda and actually stays overnight a couple nights in Bermuda and then comes back to New York. And then they do a really fun up the coast to Quebec and back, and then all the way down to Miami. And then she starts some Miami turns in there. So she focuses on extended voyages from 8 to 11 nights and destinations like Aruba, Curacao, Grand Turk, San Juan, and more. These itineraries are great for travelers looking for immersive island hopping with unique ports. So she has a bunch of holiday cruises, of course, and New Year's cruises and longer itineraries. So the Resilient Lady, which is the second newest ship, is that the easiest way to say it? She came out May, oh goodness, this is going to test me, May, not 2024, I don't think. Oh, I think it was 2023. I think she was May 2023. Resilient Lady. She actually usually lives over in the Med a lot of the times, but she's coming back over here for classic Caribbean getaways, mostly 7 nights. She's going to be here in Miami doing 7 nights, going to, which is a really cool new itinerary that Virgin has, is Cayman Coves and Jamaican Waterfalls. That's a really cool one. So I would check that out. A little bit more Western Caribbean, but Grand Cayman, if you've never been, is absolutely phenomenal. It's a really, really cool port. And the Jamaican Waterfalls. Jamaica is actually always really cool. So Scarlet Lady is the one that's going to be doing our 4 and 5 night cruises, and her regular visits will be Riviera Maya, Dominican Republic, Grand Turk, and the Fire and Sunset. Everybody's favorite Fire and Sunset, which goes to Key West and Bimini. So she will be doing the 4 and 5 nighters over the winter of 2026, 2027. And those are the ones that kind of everyone starts on. So I'm going to be honest, if you're new to Virgin, most people start in that 4 to 5, 6 night range. And we'll go over those itineraries in just a sec. The 4th ship is Valiant Lady, and she will be sailing from San Juan, focusing on Southern Caribbean. So when you leave out of San Juan, you're usually doing the Southern Caribbean, like St. Lucia, Barbados, Aruba, and Antigua. She's got a mix of 6 to 8 nights and she departs from San Juan instead of Miami. So that gives you kind of an overview of the ships and kind of where they're going to be in the next year. I will say that Virgin always goes over, they'll send 2 ships over to the Med to kind of play around in there in the summer. And that time frame is usually April-ish, so end of April, May, all the way to October, November. And then all 4 ships live in the Caribbean through the winter. And so 3 will be coming in and out of Miami and 1 will be out of San Juan. So it should be interesting to have them all 4 here for the first time this year, which is crazy and exciting at the same time. So just to give you a little bit about European itineraries. So let's talk about itineraries, actually. Let me back up and say, let's talk about itineraries. We'll start with the easy ones, the ones that you'll probably pick if you are new to Virgin and you've never sailed before, the 4 and 5 nighters. So the 4-nighter always is Key West, Bimini. Now, towards the end of 26, they do throw in a little Nassau in there. If you've been to Nassau a bazillion times, I agree with you. Do the Key West one because I tell you, it's amazing. I love Key West a lot. I talk about this all the time. If you follow me, if you listen to me, you know what I'm about to say. People that poo-poo Key West have never done anything there. There is so much to do in that city, and I absolutely love it. And I hate to even call it a city because it's not a city. It's like a town. It's like a beach town. It's like a chill, and it's not even a beach town because there's no beach there. It's like a chill town. I don't even know what you want to call it. But there is so much to do there. So don't poo-poo Key West. Go and call me and ask me what you should do there, or go listen to the podcast that I did about Key West because I do talk a lot about what to do there. But anyways, that's the 4-nighter. So the 4-nighter is called Fire and Sunset Soirees, and it has 1 sea day, Key West and Bimini. So Bimini is their private beach club. They don't own it. So just so you know, they lease it from, I think, the Hilton. So don't quote me on that. I don't know who owns what, but they definitely don't own it. So when Virgin's in port, though, we take it over, basically. Virgin takes it over. So there's no one else there but Virgin sailors, basically, when we're in port. The Hilton Club or the Hilton Hotel cannot go there in Bimini. So it's in Bimini, Bahamas. It's absolutely beautiful and it's great. It's a really, really cool stop. So try not to miss it. But I got to be honest, there's really not many itineraries in the Caribbean that don't have Bimini on them. I think we found one just recently where we're trying to do research for this podcast. But so the 4 and 5 nighters, like I said, they all stop at Bimini. The 4-nighter is always Fire and Sunsets, Key West and Bimini. And then the 5 nighters switch between Dominican Republic, Grand Turk every now and then, just so you know, we throw a little Grand Turk in there. And I always say run when you see that itinerary because it's amazing. So Grand Turk and Riviera Maya. So Riviera Maya would be Cozumel, also Mayan Sol, which would be Costa Maya. So that's where they kind of, those 4 and 5 nighters. So the 5-nighter itinerary leaves from Miami, has a sea day, goes to either one of the DR, Costa Maya, or Riviera Maya, and then has a sea day, and then a Bimini night, or Bimini day, and then home. So that's the 5-nighter. And like I said, you can choose the DR or 2 Mexico stops. Now, my personal choice, because of the lovely excursion that's at Costa Maya, would be Costa Maya. I know everyone's like, I've been to Mexico, but you have never done this excursion that I love. So go do the Costa Maya and the 5-nighter. I promise you, you will thank me. Call me up, tell me, yep, Samantha, that was the best excursion ever. And I'll be like, I know, I'm so glad. That makes my heart happy that you loved it. So do the Mayan Sol. Go to Costa Maya and make sure that you get on the excursion called Mayan Ritual with a Shaman. It's amazing. You will thank me later. Trust me. So that's the easiest way to look at the 4 and 5 nighters. I think those are so easy. They're always out of Miami. You can't go wrong. Virgin's always doing a turn. It goes 4 nights, 5-5, 4 nights, 5-5, 4 nights, 5-5 is kind of how it goes. So, if something else gets thrown in there and whatnot. Then you've got some 6-nighters, which is usually called the Western Caribbean Charm. I just did that one, which actually does have Costa Maya in it as well. It also has Roatan, and then Bimini as well. So the Western Caribbean Charm does have those. Now that kind of ends at the end of this year, if I remember correctly, but it's starting to phase out into something else. So keep an eye on that. But there is another Western Caribbean type sailing, but it is not called Western Caribbean. It is actually called, give me a second if I have it. Okay, we didn't add it, but there is a couple of 6-nighters. So not to confuse you, but if Western Caribbean Charm, you see Western Caribbean Charm, honestly, it's great. I loved it. I just did it for the first time in March. It was amazing. I have to tell you, I loved it. I actually poo-pooed it for the longest time. You know how everyone poo-poos Key West? I poo-pooed the Western Caribbean Charm, and man, that was wrong. I was wrong. So I loved it. It was Sea Day, Roatan, Costa Maya, Sea Day, Bimini, home. Did I do that right? Yes, I think that gives us 6 nights. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I have to say, I feel like the sweet spot for me always is 5 to 6 nights. 4 seems a little short that you're like, oh, I'm already getting off. But 5 and 6 seem great. And 7, you're kind of like, I'm almost good. I can almost, be ready to go home. I got lots to do. I got all these things to do. But I think 5 and 6 nights are amazing. So Caribbean wise, I want to go back to the 7-nighters. So their 7-night Caribbean favorites tend to be, there's some new ones coming out. Like I mentioned earlier, Cayman Coves and Jamaican Waterfalls. It leaves from Miami, goes to Ocho Rios, Georgetown, and Bimini. And of course there's, some sea days in there, which makes it 7-nighters. So that's actually a new one. I would love to do that. And then San Juan Sunrises and Dominican Dreams. It leaves out of Miami, goes to San Juan, Puerto Plata, Bimini, and back for 7 nights. So those are some really fun 7-nighters out of Miami that are new, actually. There's a lot of really new 7-nighters. So just look those up. When you go and look it up on virginvoyages.com, you can, pick the 7-nighters and see what time of year and what pops up, which is really nice and kind of helps narrow it down. And hopefully this helps you narrow it down. So if you're like, oh, I don't know yet still, you can kind of go look through those there. I'm staying in the Caribbean here for a second, and I want to talk about the longer Caribbean ones because they go into 8 to 12 nights, and these are best for seasoned cruisers or people who've traveled and they want to go further or try something different because these 8 to 12 nighters are long. So they're very, very long. And these are on the Brilliant Lady. So some of her top itineraries are colorful Curacao to the charming Caymans, which sounds really cool because Curacao is amazing and the charming Caymans, I love the Cayman Islands. Antigua Waves in Grand Turk Caves, which sounds amazing. Aruban Sunsets and Calm Cayman Days, and Aruba, Bonaire, Colombia, Jamaica, and more. So those are some of her longer itineraries. Basically what happens is she leaves from Miami and goes all the way down and picks up Aruba, Cartagena, Curacao, all of that down there, the ABC Islands, and then comes back to Miami, which it has to be that long because it's so far away. So normally those Southern Caribbean type places, you'll leave from San Juan to make it in that short itinerary. But when you're leaving from Miami, it's got to be longer because you don't make it in time. But I'm going to be honest, if you've never been to the ABC Islands, oh my gosh, it's phenomenal. They're phenomenal down there. I loved Aruba. I had the best time there. So I loved the ABC Islands. I highly suggest doing those. And I loved Grand Turk. So always, if it says Grand Turk, go. If it says Grand Cayman, go. Those were some of my favorite places. And of course, if it says Costa Maya, go. Run. Because then you can do that excursion. So the Southern Caribbean from San Juan, like I mentioned earlier, those will be on the Valiant Lady. And these are best for Caribbean lovers who want something new. So say you've gone, all around here that's really close. You can only go so far. That's one of the things that clients always seem to ask me. They're like, I want to go to Aruba and in 4 nights. And I was like, yeah, so you're going to need to fly there. You're not getting on a ship and going there. It doesn't work that way. So it's always the Southern Caribbean that you can get from San Juan. So basically, leaving from San Juan, I just did 2-ish months ago, St. Iles and Seas of the Caribbean. That was a 7-nighter, and it went to Tortola, St. Lucia, Barbados, Antigua, St. Martin. I loved that itinerary. I think we did it well, and I think we had so much fun because we did excursions. We did some of the best excursions. We had the best time. So I highly suggest that one. It was really great. If you haven't visited some of those islands, or maybe you visited a couple but you want to go back, there's just so much to do on all of those islands, and they're all just really great islands, I have to be honest. Tortola was phenomenal. We actually didn't stay on Tortola. We ended up going over to oh my goodness, where the heck did we go? The baths over there. So we honestly I don't even know that I saw Tortola, but that whole area was amazing. The other one that's pretty famous is the Sunny Miles of Tropical Isles, the Fort de France, Castries, Philipsburg, and Bicêtre. I can't even say that. My apologies on that. Those are all basically your Eastern Caribbean. Everything's going to be in that Eastern Caribbean area. Let's see. Yeah, so that's those are the 7-nighters. I mean, listen, if you've been all around, I've said this a minute ago, but if you've been all over the Caribbean, it's kind of hard to find an itinerary that you haven't been to. The cool thing about Virgin that I think that I just love is that they really do try to put together some different itineraries that you're like, wait, what? I can go all the way to Cartagena? That's kind of crazy. I never heard of such a thing. So I love that they do that about the Caribbean. That's one of my favorite things. I think it's awesome that they do it. Now, let's talk about the Med, or Europe, actually. Not just the Med. So that season is usually May through October. So like I said, end of October, beginning of November is when that season runs. It's going to be very busy, as you know, in the summer months, and you'll find it a little less busy and not as hot during the other months, like April, May, October. Those are great months to go because you won't be sweltering there. So the Greek island Glow is an amazing itinerary. I actually did that one. It's phenomenal. It's very, very popular. It starts in Athens and goes to Santorini, Rhodes, Bodrum, and Mykonos overnight, which was so cool to be in an overnight port. That was so cool. Like I remember skipping back and not having to worry about making the ship. And it was really cool. Like I was like skipping on the thing and I was like, don't have to worry about running because the ship's still here, which was really cool. So I will say that was neat to experience. And then the other one that's uber popular is Starry Nights in Greece and Croatia. It's a 10-night journey and it literally visits everything you can possibly imagine. So Santorini, Dubrovnik, Mykonos, Kotor, Corfu, just to name a few. But it's a very, very popular one over there. Istanbul, Santorini, and more. I think that's new this year and then continues next year. Don't quote me on that one, but that's 11 nights. So it's in Athens, Istanbul, Mykonos, Bodrum, just to give you a few of the stops, the ports. Southern Spain and Casablanca, that's a 10-night one. That's actually really, really cool. I think some of the ports are phenomenal in there. So it's Barcelona, Valencia, Casablanca, Malaga, and Ibiza. Check that out because if Spain is like your thing, like if you love Spain, I love this itinerary because I feel like it goes into these small ports that nobody really mentions, like no other cruise lines go into, or very few other cruise lines, I should say. So it's a really cool itinerary. And then you always have the transatlantics, like to Miami and Barcelona, or back again. You can always hop on those. But I wouldn't say, you don't see too much on those transatlantics, honestly. You only stop a few times. But they have a bunch of stuff this year. So I know I've talked about this a bazillion times if you follow me, but they have some UK turns this year. And a lot of them go either down south to Barcelona and back on the from UK. So not all the way to Barcelona, I should say. That goes to, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank of the name of the cities. But like here's Spain. I'm totally drawing a blank. It goes from the UK down to the northern part of Spain, basically, and it hits a couple things in here and then goes back. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on those names. La Coruna is one of them. Hello, ladies. I want to talk to you about Girls Gone Cruising because I want you to know what it's about. Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite cruises. Every year we go on this cruise. It started years ago. And I know that everyone always wants to go on a girls trip. Everyone's like, girls trip, girls trip, girls trip. This is the ultimate girls trip. Yes, sure. It's not all of your friends, but guess what you're going to do? You're going to make new friends. So if you're a solo that's like, I'm not so sure, come join us because you're going to make friends. Some of the girls that have been on this trip are now like BFFs with the people that they've met on board, which is amazing. And I love that. It like makes my heart happy. So what do we do on this Girls Gone Cruising? We have so much fun. Not only do we have fun, but we also relax. We curate an amazing itinerary for you that has a bunch of activities. And let's be honest, you can either do them or not. We don't really care. We care that we want you to have fun, but we don't care. We're not going to say, oh my gosh, so-and-so didn't join us for that class that we held. No, if you don't want to go and you end up just laying in your bed ordering breakfast because that's what you need to do that day, that's what you do that day. But what it is, it's really just about girls getting together and just having the best time ever. So please join us on Girls Gone Cruising this year. It's September 17th through the 21st, 2025. And we're sailing to Key West, which is my all-time favorite destination because there's a lot of fun to be had in Key West. And we're also going to Bimini. So please join us. It's a great, great time. And honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. We're trying to make a quota that I've wanted for a couple years, and I need you. So join us. So she'll leave from UK and go down, and that's Scarlett, I think, will do that because Scarlett's actually also going to be doing, leaves from Portsmouth, goes into Amsterdam, goes into Norway, and then over to Iceland, and then back over. So almost a British Isles tour, but not a British Isles tour. So like, that's the cool thing about Virgin that I say, like, you know, most of the cruise lines are doing these British Isles tour, and this is not it. Like, it's really cool what they did. So they have 2 of those. We actually have a really big group on the Iceland one. So if you're still interested, we probably have some pretty good deals on it. But leaves UK, goes to Amsterdam, up to Scotland, Norway, and I don't know if that's backwards, Norway, Scotland, and then over to Iceland and does a couple Iceland and then ends in Reykjavik overnight. And then she goes backwards and does almost the same thing, but I think she stops at a couple of different spots on the way back. Don't quote me on that one. And then from there, she does a couple turns, like I said, down south, back up, and then she ends up going down the coast, I think, all the way to Athens later, if I remember correctly. But there's so much over there this year that's different than what you normally find. So I love that about Virgin is that everything is different and, you know, it's not all the same basically as every other cruise line. So I love that about them. And they stay longer in ports and overnight. Like it is very rare to stay overnight somewhere. So a couple years ago, I did French Days and Ibiza Nights, which is still there for the summer. And we did an overnight in... where were we overnight? Palma de Mallorca? I think we overnighted Palma de Mallorca, which was so cool, again, to overnight. Same thing in Greek Island Glow. We overnighted Mykonos, which allows you to experience we might have overnighted twice. Maybe it was Palma de Mallorca and Ibiza. Jeez Louise, it's terrible that I don't remember, but if you just look it up, it'll say it on there. I feel terrible that I didn't have that on here, but one would think that my memory would serve me well. But I do love that about them, that they will stay overnight, and it's just a very cool experience. So definitely check out the Med because there are some really, really cool sailings over there. But like I said, when you're picking out that itinerary, I think the best case scenario is to pick out obviously location to start to narrow it down because it can seem daunting. And that's one of the things that when clients come to us that we help them with, right? So they're like, I don't know where to go. I just want to go on a Virgin cruise. We're like, great. All right, tell us what port do you want to leave from? And then they're kind of like, Miami. We're like, all right, perfect. How long do you want? I want 5 to 6 nights. Awesome. What month do you want? So we kind of ask those questions to help narrow it down for you. And that's the kind of stuff that you want to ask yourself. Like, how many nights? What month? You know, what can I actually do? You know, where can I go during that month, basically? And then sometimes if you do have your heart set on a specific destination with Virgin, because they don't have the amount of ships as other cruise lines, you might have to change your timing. So say you want to do the Jamaican, oh gosh, I'm going to say this one wrong. Jamaican coves and nope, saying it wrong. Hold on. This is me and my not good memory. Hold on, where is it? Cayman Coves and Jamaican Waterfalls. Woo! Say you want to do that one. And you're like, I want to do that in August. And it's not there in August, but it is in July. So you just have to look that stuff up and like really figure out, you know, when they're actually doing it. Because sometimes they really do switch them around like that. So, and that's to, you know, because they don't have a ton of ships. They have to, you know, conserve just a little bit there. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Hopefully we helped you narrow down, some options in an itinerary, and you can pick out the perfect itinerary for you. If you have any questions, of course, on itineraries and ones that I've been on, actually, I'll go through my favorite ones. Like I said, I think I kind of said during the middle of this whole thing, I feel like I talked about my favorite itineraries, but I do love the 4-nighter. I will tell you that 4-nighter is Wednesday to Sunday, so it's not your normal 4-night that you know for other cruise lines. Like the other cruise lines will do it Monday to Friday for a 4-nighter, but it's Wednesday to Sunday for Virgin, which I think is really cool because you're at least hitting, 2 days in that weekend, basically, and then you have to get the other 3 days off. But the 4-nighters Wednesday to Sunday. The 5-nighters are Friday to Wednesday or Sunday to Friday. So those are the 5-nighter timing. That's the days of that. And then the 6-nighter, that one's harder to figure out because it switches off with the 8-nighter sometimes. It left on a Saturday. Yeah, the 6-nighter left on a Saturday, but that's not all the time. So just be aware of that. But my favorite itineraries that I've done, let's be honest, they're pretty much all of them. But I will say that I fell in love with the Western Caribbean charm because of the fact that Roatan was great. I absolutely adored it, had the best time there. And I loved Costa Maya, as you know, because I told you about my favorite excursion. And then I love the 4-nighter, obviously, because I love Key West. I just think it's a great getaway, great quick getaway. Now, my 7-nighter, hands down, Caribbean Sea. Oh, goodness gracious. I never say this one right. Kelly used to always correct me all the time. Okay, St. Isles and Seas of the Caribbean. That is by far my favorite 7-nighter from San Juan. And then, the tough one in Med, and the Med is really hard. I haven't even done this one, I have to be honest, but Southern Spain and Casablanca seems phenomenal, I have to be honest. I would love to do that. And there's a couple of Rome itineraries in there that I really, really want to do. So yeah. And then I'm sure, what I'm probably going to end up picking soon is Iceland, which is exciting. But the other thing I want to tell you, the Brilliant Lady was built, so I do want to mention this, was built to go through the Panama Canal. So she goes through the Panama Canal. This will be the first time that Virgin goes through it. That'll be exciting, and I'll be on it. It'll be the first time Virgin goes through, and that'll be in March of next year. And Brilliant Lady is going to go through. So they built her so she'll go through the Panama Canal. So she's doing a Miami to LA trip through the Panama Canal, which will be awesome. So I've never done that before, and I'm super excited about it. And then comes back again in October of next year. So know that happens on the Brilliant Lady too, if Panama Canal is your thing. And actually, we have some really good deals on the Panama Canal on the way back, not on the way out there. That one sold very quickly because they sold that one a couple years. They started a couple years ago or year and a half ago. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. I know that wasn't like the easiest thing to understand. Hopefully, you you can narrow it down just a little bit. It's hard to kind of talk about itineraries and not know what everyone needs, but I just wanted to chat about it so that you guys can kind of see that it's not as daunting as it might seem because there's only 4 ships, and just kind of narrow it down. That's the easiest way to do it. So yeah, let us know if you have questions. We would love to help you here at Fabulous Adventures. We actually have a couple of pretty decent deals on some of these itineraries because we have them below direct pricing. So that's pretty cool. So call us or email or whatever you need to do to get a hold of us, and we look forward to helping with you. Let us know if you have anything to talk about. Chat in the comment about any itineraries that you love that I might have missed or messed up. Let's be honest. And we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining, and I'll leave you with our favorite phrase, which is, "You float our boat." Bye, everyone.